If you want to make the right decision about whether to rent or to buy and to save thousands of dollars and your sanity, you really need to watch this video. I rented for 15 years of my life and I lived in 5 apartment complexes. Trust me, I hate moving. And I've owned a home for 3 years and my experience in both is huge and one of them favors the other. And trust me, this isn't your typical rent versus buy type video where everyone says the same thing. There's things that you've most likely never heard about that you definitely need to be aware of if you're renting or buying. So in this video, I'm going to address all the myths that you hear about when it comes to renting versus buying. And let me start with the number one that everyone tells you is equity. Because of course, we heard this thousands of times. When you're renting, you're throwing your money away. Now, if you own a home, you get this great opportunity of something called equity. What equity is the amount of your mortgage that you have left compared to the value of your home. That difference is your equity. Now, depending on the area you live in, this amount could be large. For some people, this is the most money they're gonna have in their net worth. Now, there's a few ways you could tap into your equity. The first way is by doing a HELOC, which is called the Home Equity Line of Credit. A lot of people love to tap into this if they want to do some remodeling in their home or they want to just pay off all your debt. There's some speculations, but you definitely need to speak to your mortgage company to find out what you can do. And the other obvious way, well, is selling your home. Once you sell your home, you get to keep all that equity once your mortgage is paid off. Now, I highly recommend you do not touch any of your equity once you're in your home. The only time you want to touch it is the time when you're going to retire and you might need that money for survival, or you're going to use that money for another down payment within your home. Now, with renting, you get no equity. I know you're thinking, that sucks. But there's something a lot of people do not mention. Yes, you do not get equity, but you also do not lose equity. Now, what do I mean by that? First of all, if you remember in the 2008 housing market, yeah, there was a big bubble, big crash. You can still lose money by owning a home. So that is a form of gambling. You're gambling that your block, your neighborhood, your city, your state is going to be one of the best states for you to own a home. A lot of times that's not the case. So when you hear everyone telling you buying a home is one of the best investments, recognize this. Every time you buy a home, is always going to be a risk associated with it. So yes, when you're renting, you're not gaining any equity, but at the same time, you're losing nothing. Now, there's one thing people overlook when it comes to getting a home, and it's the maintenance. A lot of people do not understand how much it costs to maintain a home. According to a recent survey in 2022, it costs $6,000 annually in order to get all your repairs done and your maintenance for a home. Now, take it from me, maintenance in a home is expensive. That's saying $6,000 a year average, but there's some years you could possibly drop 20 or even more, especially if you're having any damages in your roof. I've seen instances, and I got a funny feeling I'm gonna be one of them soon, where the insurance company will call you and let you know they're about to drop you because your roof needs to be replaced. And if you don't have that money in hand, you will get dropped from your insurance and you'll have a big trouble with your mortgage company. You see, this is the things that people do not tell you about because a lot of people do not discuss their finances. They don't want to let people know that they're struggling, that they won't be able to cover the cost of a water heater, the repairing the sink, getting all these things done in their home. They want to keep it a secret. So you would never hear about it, but I'm going to let you know. Now, what about rent? A lot of people that rent say you have to pay no maintenance. When something goes down, it gets broken, they walk away, it's not their responsibility, it's the landlord. Well, technically, yes, in most cases, especially when you get it from a property management, you do not need to put money down. But there were situations that I've been in, and I heard stories as well, and I was renting from someone, and every time a repair was needed, he asked me to front the money up front, and he would deduct it from the rent. It's a good deal, but this is the problem. If you do not have any money saved to cover those repairs, it's going to lead to a very awkward conversation with your landlord. So you still need to have money on the side to pay for all the repairs. My best advice for anyone that wants to get a home is to have a sinking fund. Verify what things in your house most likely are going to need to be repaired. From a roof, it's anywhere between 15 to 20 years, depending upon where you live. I live in Florida, and due to the hurricanes, the insurance companies are very strict about the age of your roof. If you're living in other states, it might not be that much of a problem. And also recognize when you're saving for a home, don't just save for a down payment. In the same time, you want to save for an emergency fund and have some money on the side for repairs and for maintenance or anything you want to be done. The sneaky thing that eats up a majority of your money is once you move into a house, you want to get it remodeled and you start to realize everything is adding up quickly. Usually people want to get a new paint job, they want to rip up the floor and put their own floor. It can add up, especially depending upon the time and the season where you're making these purchases. And one of the biggest myths about buying a home is the monthly payment remains the same. Not true. Now, when you're buying a home, there's a few things you want to be careful with. It's either you get a fixed rate or you get a ARM, which is an adjustable rate mortgage. If you get an adjustable rate mortgage, well, guess what? Your mortgage payment is not going to be the same. Your interest rate can adjust depending on market conditions. If you have a fixed rate, then you're correct. Your interest rate will remain the same and your monthly payment will remain the same. So overall, your mortgage should be consistent. But is it? No. You see, there's something sneaky in there, and what this is called is an escrow account. Now, a lot of people are not too familiar with an escrow account, and let me explain it to you. An escrow account is something that's required by most mortgage companies, and what this is doing is finding out how much money you need to pay in property taxes and insurance. Now, the big thing about this is they're making an estimate. Why? Because your property taxes can always go up, it never goes down, and your insurance could always go up. That never goes down. So your mortgage company would try to make a good guesstimate and have a buffer amount just in case you're not able to pay your taxes and your insurance. The escrow account, guys, is something I was never aware of, and I did not understand how they did the calculations, and that's the reason why my mortgage has gone up. Now, it doesn't go up so drastically. At times, it can. I had a situation in Florida where in my case, it did, but only was for 1 year, and it went up $300 a month, and ever since then, pretty much evened out, and I don't expect it to change anywhere from 30 to hopefully nothing. Now, let's talk about the deduction of the mortgage interest, which everyone says, well, guess what? You could deduct your mortgage interest, and that will make things a whole lot better during tax time. Slow down a bit. You see, things had changed recently. Before, back in the days, it was advantageous for you to take advantage of your mortgage deduction. But now the standard deduction on your tax return is so high. In some cases, it doubled. For a single person, it is $13,650. For a married couple filing jointly, it's $27,700, which means you need to be able to deduct $27,700, whether in mortgage interest or any other deductions that you can do if you have your own business or whatever the case may be. It is very difficult to reach that amount. So to be quite honest with you, you will not be deducting your mortgage interest. Do not bank on it. Most likely, a majority of society is going to have the standard deduction, which is going to make things a whole lot easier when you're filing taxes. But unfortunately, you are paying that mortgage interest and there's no tax break. Now, with renting, we know how that goes. That can change continuously, and it sucks when you do. Now, as I said in the beginning of my video, I lived in 5 and 6 apartments between 15 years, and the main reason why was because they kept on increasing the rent. Luckily, I did have someone, and this is what I want to make everyone aware of. Now, I did have a landlord that did not increase my rent for 3 years. And the reason why is, and this is something a lot of people that are renting should be aware of, is if you're renting from an individual and you are a very good tenant, most likely they will work with you and they will not increase your rent. Because the number one thing any landlord wants is someone that's responsible and someone that takes care of the apartment and is responsive and is never late with rent and not always complaining and calling and causing a hassle. So yes, there's some stability when it comes to owning a home as far as when it comes to monthly payments. But I want you to be aware, as I said in the beginning, it can change based upon your insurance, the type of mortgage you have, and also your property taxes. Something you also need to take into consideration whether buying or renting is neighbors. Yes, to all my renters out there, we dealt with some neighbors that caused us a headache. Sometimes we had to move specifically because these neighbors were just causing a hassle, whether it was doing some illegal activity, whether they were extremely loud, whatever the case may be, we had to get out of the situation because our neighbors suck. But let me tell you something, once you own a home, those sucky neighbors have the ability as well to buy a home. You can live on the block where you have some horrible neighbors, and there's one neighbor you can never get rid of, and this is the big difference between whether renting or owning a home. And this neighbor is called the HOA. HOA is a nightmare. This is the number one neighbor you can never get rid of, and is continually in your business, letting you know what you should do and what you can't do. And I got news for you. They have extreme authority. Did you know the HOA has the ability to foreclose your home? Yes, they do. So if you get a notice in the mail saying you need to cut your grass and you ignore that, they can't foreclose you. So now I know what you're thinking. You're saying, I gotta pay a mortgage, I gotta pay insurance, I gotta pay property taxes, and I need to pay HOA? Yes. Well, depending on the area you live in, but a lot of areas do have an HOA. I got good news and I got bad news. It can range anywhere between $100 a month or even less, but it could go all the way up to $1,000 a month or even higher. Yes, I seen $1,000 a month, especially here in Florida, when you're living in a condo by the beach. It could get very expensive. It does depend on the services that they offer and the amenities. See, with renting, you don't have to deal with any of that. You have the ability to get up, move, and go somewhere else. They have no HOA that you need to be concerned with. Now, there's some things that are good with an HOA. They're making sure that the value of your home remains strong. You don't get someone moving into your block, painting their home pink, doing oil changes in the middle of the street, and just causing havoc and bringing your value of your home down. But when it comes to people having some power, yeah, they take advantage of it and it can get quite annoying. So all my renters out there, now you know when you're renting, you're paying for freedom. You're not throwing money away. There's a cost when it comes to freedom. And that might seem like something that's intangible compared to owning a home, which is something that is tangible. But your freedom is really important. And if you do decide to take that leap into home ownership, here's a little advice I want to give you. First of all, you want to make sure that you could try to at least save 10% down on your home. You want to do some research and verify that the home you're buying is a place that is safe and you know the value of your home is going to go up. You're not 100% certain, but you have a good idea there's a strong community. Make sure your credit score is up to par. If you have a high credit score, this could affect the interest rate, which then in turn could affect your mortgage payment. I really hope you guys found this video informative. If you want any more financial content, please hit the like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Catch you guys on the next video. Peace.